Now then everyone, a bit more of an update. I've had quite a good feedback on the video on the DR8. As I said, I did my video, the video where I showed some of the features and a bit of a review and an opinion on the car, because there wasn't that much out about it when I wanted information, when I was looking at one. So I've had a few comments, some positive feedback, other people liking FTX range in general and considering this car. So here's mine again. I have got it out at the moment because I was just going to charge the battery up. Nice big 6S pack. Because it's snowing outside. And I was hoping that the snow would get really deep so I could take this out and have a bit of fun with it. This is the car I thought I would take out, even though we've got all the others over there. So just one thing, a question and a comment that I've just answered on one of the other videos about this car. I changed this pinion and I did run into some issues, and it's one of the only negatives I've had about this car, and it's not unique to FTX, it's not unique to this particular car, but all the screws you need to undo to release the motor and set the mesh on the pinion in there. It's very difficult to see. You can see them on that angle. There's one there and it slides along in there, and there's one in the bottom under the pinion as well. So the only way you can get in there is obviously an Allen key with a right angle, so you've got to use the short end of the Allen key and get the Allen key to stick up and loosen it that way. That screw rounded, the top screw rounded, the bottom screw rounded, so I then couldn't adjust the motor. You can get the pinion off without adjusting the motor, because you can turn it to release the grub screw that holds the pinion on the shaft. So you can get that pinion off, but you can't put a bigger one in and adjust the mesh without undoing these top and bottom motor mounts. So once they'd rounded, because there's too much Loctite on them and the bolts are actually soft, it's cheap soft metal in my opinion. So once I'd done that, I thought, well, now I need to undo the motor mount and take the whole thing out. So I had to undo these two from that hold this cover over the diff and go through the motor mount here, and they're both stripped. So there's no restriction with access to that. So I was using a proper driver, hex driver, into those two hex Allen head screws, but they're both stripped. So there's too much Loctite, because they go through plastic into the metal. Show you from this side. They're both stripped as well. They're stripped, rounded. It rounded the heads off, these two. So with them being accessible, I used a Dremel to cut a straight line across the top on both and use a flathead screwdriver. Heated them up as much as I could with a soldering iron, but you are going in through plastic, so it's not actually done any damage. I've not damaged anything too badly doing all this, but I had to cut the original screws, cut the heads off, cut a straight edge in across the middle and use a flathead screwdriver to get them out. I managed to get them out, soldering iron, heated them up to the extreme and got them out, got out the screws from underneath, heated all them up first, having learnt the lesson that there's going to be a lot of Loctite on there. So the ones that come through this motor mount from under the chassis, heat them all up first and got them out, no problem luckily. But I have replaced, I think I bought 50 of these, which I think they're M3 and I think they're M4 or M5. I bought 50 of those and I bought 50 of those, and it was only about £8 for a bag of each, so not a problem. And put it all back together again, and it is absolutely ballistic now. That's the 15 tooth pinion. I didn't have to buy one. It's the 15 tooth pinion that comes with the armour Kraton. It's the optional high speed pinion for a Kraton. So what I did is drop that pinion on there. It's the right size for the shaft, it's the right pitch, it's mod 1 gears, so it's perfect. The 12 tooth came off and the 15 went on, and it's absolutely mad now. It is a mad machine anyway, but now on that it's even more crazy. It's, yeah, it's fantastic. Built like a tank. But just as an update, I still think it's brilliant, I still think it's good value, but just beware, be careful. But it's not unique to this car, as was said by Gaz FPV, I believe. Armour are as bad. All the WL toys, I suppose the Chinese Banggood specials, they all do it. Too much Loctite. I've seen another video recently. Another video recently. Look at that, overweighted at the back with the spare wheel on. You can't get it to sit straight. Yeah, there's my extension lead for the lights. Another video recently where somebody said about the Armour Kraton EXB. It comes without a motor and without an ESC or servo, and yet still Armour have Loctited all the screws in for the motor mount. Knowing that you're going to have to remove the motor mount, it's got a slide-in section that you screw onto the motor and then slide it in and secure it. They've Loctited the sliding motor mount in on a rolling chassis that's got no motor in it, knowing that you're going to have to undo it and fit your own motor. So yeah, cautionary tale, heat your screws up and just work them out, release them if you can, be careful with them. And I think they are bad quality screws that are in there. I bought decent quality, higher grade metal screws. There you go. Thanks again.